The reality is, it's gotta say no, because that's the simple solution is no. Turn the buses around.
We come in a community of black people where we already get the low scraps. And then you want to take the little scraps, the resources that we have, and put us at the bottom of the barrel? That's not fair.
Tensions are high in these big cities. Many Chicago residents are fed up as that city struggles to house its influx of migrants. Thousands of migrants are sleeping in police stations there or airports as they wait to be placed in shelters. And the number of people bussed in from the southern border is expected to double. So you think they have problems now? Those problems may be growing. Former Governor of Illinois, Blagojevich, joins us now. Governor, thank you very much for joining us. What's your big picture thoughts on all of this? I mean, what is going to happen here?
Well, it's a humanitarian crisis. It's a national security crisis caused by President Biden's open borders policies, caused by the rhetoric of Democratic governors like our Governor Pritzker, who used to work for me, by the way, when I was a Democratic governor, where they talk about sanctuary cities. It's a tale of two letters that our governor sent last year. He invited the migrants to come here to Chicago. Now that they're actually coming and not just staying in Texas or Arizona or New Mexico, our governor and our mayor are whistling, are crying for help and changing their tune. And your residents that you just pointed out there at Amundsen Park on the west side of Chicago, a neighborhood I grew up in, I actually boxed Golden Gloves out of that park. The moms that are talking about places for their kids to go play sports and do constructive things as opposed to hanging around on the street corners doing criminal things. It's all about making choices and setting priorities. And right now, the Democrat leaders have created a crisis in cities like Chicago and New York because they didn't expect that their rhetoric was going to actually be acted on. They just figured, let the governors of Texas and Arizona and New Mexico deal with this problem. Now that it's at their doorstep, they've changed their position, and we have our Mayor Johnson, actually going down to the border to do something that President Biden refuses to do.
Yeah, we'll see when that happens. Here's the mayor in his own words on that trip. Governor, thank you. Listen.
I have a wife, I have children, they have schedules. And plus, we still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible. But I got to coordinate that with running the government and making sure that my wife and children are secure as well.
You know, and John Cass is writing about thanks to Biden's open borders in Dem cities is black versus brown. The tension, if not the physical damages, are high, with longtime black residents told to step off the corner, to step back and give their place in line to illegal Latin immigrants who are being courted as new prospective voters by Biden Democrats. Black voters have been betrayed. What do you believe will be the political consequences of this growing crisis, Governor?
No, I think that's a very, very real possibility that there'll be a split in the Democratic coalition precisely because of this issue. And it's a question, again, of priorities. Whose side are you on? One of the moms at Amundsen Park was crying out, you work for us. And the fact of the matter is that they've created these policies that have pit part of the Democrat constituency groups against each other. And I would simply say again, $300 to $400 million has been spent already in Chicago and in Illinois. That's money that could have been used for more police officers in a city that's facing violent crime. That's money that could be put into schools so the classrooms can be smaller and kids can learn better. And the kids that are disproportionately in the Chicago public schools are kids of color, largely African-American kids. Yeah. So the community that's being hurt the most by these policies are the black communities. And
the very
Democrats talk a
communities
big game.
these Democrats say they're out to help the most. Real quick final to you on, as we're running out of time here, Governor. I ran some crime stats over your tenure compared to now. I mean, it shows actually crime was higher in the city of Chicago during your governorship than it is now. I asked Paul Moore about that a second ago. He suggested, as I've heard before, that somehow Cook County's cooked the books to improve those numbers. Can you give some perspective on that? Why are the violent crime stats appearing to be lower now than when you were in office back then?
One of the great prime ministers of England, Benjamin Disraeli, used to say there are lies, damnable lies, and statistics. That has to be untrue. The city of Chicago was a much safer place when Mayor Daley was the mayor and I was the governor. Just talk to anybody who lives in Chicago and they'll tell you how unsafe things are today. And it's happening in every neighborhood. And again, when you're spending $400 million to deal with illegal immigrants, and taking it away from police officers or from our schools and from communities that need it. It's just misplaced priorities, and it's a real serious problem that's only going to get worse in Chicago, not better.
Yeah. Well, a city so many of us know and love and wish it can get back to what it once was. Thanks so much, Governor, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.